every now and then, he'll say something that drives people crazy or makes them laugh, like this clip on macrodosing where he may have revealed something that's taking place in the NFL.
It's funny, before we started taping, Arian was telling me about how the NFL is rigged and how every year he used to get a script.
Yeah.
Day one of training camp that would get dropped off at his locker. And you would have to, it was like week 1, you'll do this. Week 2, you're going to have a hamstring injury. Week 3, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Week 4, you're going to get 3 touchdowns. And so then you just have to, did you memorize those before the season started? Or would you go and rehearse the script before every game?
We were really dedicated to it. So it was more so like, that's what practice was about. It was about practicing the script. Like, this is what goes on and this is what we have to do in order to,
And this referee is going to miss this call. Because they hate you and they love the Colts, that sort of thing.
WWF, so it's like, we know what's going to happen, but you still got to put on a show.
Yeah.
What did you think when you got the script in 2016 that said your career was going to fall off a cliff when you stopped believing in God?
That was 2015.
Yeah.
That's Big Tennessee on that podcast with that comment, which was a very funny zinger. This tweet went viral, mainly because there were a lot of other players, both current and former, who thought it was hysterical and talked about moments in their careers where they said, yeah, I was a part of the script. I don't know if Sage Rosenfels commented on it, but I imagine he would have said, like, yeah, I intended to make that Rosencopter look as magnificent as I possibly could.
I think Robert Griffin III got in on it.
Yeah.
Being like, reading my rookie year script.
Right. And there were a couple other ones that were a little more dark, like Dogs looking at Michael Vick's script in 2007, Aaron Hernandez's script in 2013. There were some dark ones, but it was pretty funny. I enjoyed that some people took it literally, but look, that's just how online works. Sarcasm is hard to read online, and Foster was fantastic in that situation, being deadpan and talking about the scripts that happens from game to game. Some people do believe the NFL is rigged. I don't. I do think that you could talk to referees and potentially get them to influence the outcome of a game. We obviously saw it with Tim Donaghy. Why would the NFL be entirely different? I like to think that it's not. Whatever the case, Foster's funny. And Foster was one of my favorite Houston Texans. I'm going to play my favorite moment with Arian Foster on the other side, and we're going to do something new. The Texans have a Ring of Honor. I believe it only has Andre Johnson and the late owner Bob McNair in it right now. And there's only a couple of guys that actually are going to make it. J.J. Watt is one of them. I don't think that we've seen many other Houston Texans that are going to make it. Sorry, Deshaun Watson. But who would make it into the Houston Texans almost Ring of Honor? Foster's always tickled me. And there was a point where he seemed to sour the local media. And I remember this because back in the day when there was a little television show on CSN Houston called Sports Talk Live, we're talking all the way back in 2014, and only half the city could get it. I remember doing an episode where Kevin Eschenfelder was the host and Brooke Bentley was my co-host. And we were like the two analysts talking about things. And I remember that day at, I believe, a Houston Texans training camp practice. After practice, a bunch of people decided to ask Arian Foster questions. And Arian Foster treated them hilariously, at least per me.
Were you 100% out there today, Arian?
Yeah, man, I'm just out here trying to be the best teammate I can be, and I'm going to work hard at doing that.
Physically, you're good to go?
Yeah, man, I'm just trying to be the best teammate I can be, man.
Arian, can you tell us exactly what kept you out? What's going on?
Yeah, man, I'm just trying to be the best teammate I can be, I'm going to work hard at doing that.
But what was physically wrong?
Yeah, I'm just out here, man, just, working hard every single day, trying to be the best teammate I can be.
What did it mean to be able to get back out here and start working?
Yeah, being with your teammates and being the best teammate you can be is like, it's what you strive to do, so that's what I'm out here doing.
Your teammates talk about how they want to see you out here. They know what you mean to this ball club. What does all that stuff mean to you, Arian?
Yeah, man, when you're the best teammate you can be, man, just work hard at doing that every single day, That's what we're out here trying to do.
Your body's starting to break down?
Yeah, man, I'm just out here trying to be the best teammate I could be, and I'm work hard at doing that.
How's that coming, Aaron, with your progress of being a better teammate?
Yeah, just every single day, just trying to be a better teammate, man.
What do you think about these fans?
It's funny hearing some of the old voices there, too, who used to be in Houston. There's James Palmer of the NFL Network now. Mark Berman, you're hearing, like, really trying to get some sort of answer out of Arian Foster. So from what I understand, and I was told this by someone who was very close to the situation back in the day, Bill O'Brien told all the players to not say anything about injuries and said that, hey, if you're asked about injuries, say something along the lines of, I'm just trying, just doing my best a day at a time. And Arian decided to have some fun with that. Unfortunately, the byproduct for Arian was a bunch of undeserved vitriol that came his way from Houston media who felt they had been disrespected. And I mean, my God, get over yourselves if you were feeling disrespected by that. Obviously, he was not answering any of your questions. Maybe get the hint or just let it keep going. And I thought it was good. I said after this happened, I was like, this is great because we have something to laugh at and talk about. It's content. Is this acceptable behavior from an athlete towards the media? Yes, it is, because, again, we don't matter. I will admit that every single time. I got such a kick out of that. And I remember on the same day on that Sports Talk Live television show, I stood up for Arian Foster while also, I think, calling James Harden a douche on TV. Not many radio hosts in Houston can say they've done that, but dabs, I did.
Congrats.
Thank you.
I did like the mix of people, one of the reporters kind of like, so how has trying to become a better teammate?
That was James Palmer.
Yeah.
Palmer was the only one who thought that was funny, because I remember watching the video of it and also having talked with him afterwards, and he had a big smile on his face as it was happening. It was a really funny moment.
And then, like, the woman voice in there being like, so do you feel like your body's breaking down? It's like, okay, he's already said he's just trying to be the best teammate he can be 15 times already.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to be like, well, I hope my body... even if he's answering questions, ask him, do you think your body is breaking down is not a good question to ask.
Do you think being a vegan has led to your body breaking down? See, if that question had been asked, that would have, I think, been appropriate the next year. I think it was 2015. I forget, but I think it was around that time he started being a vegan. Yeah, it's funny. You're right, Sean.
It's like, why would you ask, a question that, like, not very many NFL players would answer, like, or would, like, would just be like, yeah, answer honestly. Like, I think my body is breaking down.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, and be the best teammate you can be, Sean.
She was not being a great teammate.
Well, no, she was trying to be a great teammate for her team, and his team, though, was winning because he was being the best teammate he could be.
It was a blowout.
It was an absolute blowout.
It was a bad game plan.
That was like Joe Montana losing 49-3 to the New York Giants in the playoffs, something Tom Brady would never do, ever.
To be fair to Mike Francesa, a funny way to start a sentence. He did say Super Bowl record.
Yeah.
Undefeated in the Super Bowl.
Well, you got to get to a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Do you?
I don't know. You go 4-3 in NFC Championship games. I think it's kind of weird to say, but he was 4-0 in Super Bowls. Well, okay, but there were 3 Super Bowls he could have made.
Once he got there. I guess he was just the best on the biggest stage.
What would have happened if Montana made the Super Bowl in those 3 Super Bowls that they didn't make it?
Probably won them all.
Well, he probably would have lost all 3 of them because they lost in the NFC Championship game. They clearly weren't that good of a team.
But the NFC always won the Super Bowl back in those days.
Yeah, that actually is true. So that's a fair counterpoint.
Boom.
Mike Francesa, Sean Mapes.
First take. That's my first take audition right there.
See, literally, you would be better than Mike Francesa just because of the fact that I trust that you won't fall asleep. That's it.
I
do not understand
they
Mike
do start
Francesa
pretty
appeal.
early, I will say.
Well, yeah, that's true. Well, 10 a.m., that's the same time as us. Or wait,
no,
9
they start an hour before us.
Yeah, they start. It's 9 a.m.
And there's so many pre-show meetings for them
but
that we don't have to do.
That actually is true. It is 10 a.m. Eastern time though. I mean, it's the same time.
Oh yeah,
I
would have to move to New York though.
You don't want to live in the Big Apple?
No.
Oh, whoa.
Or maybe if I'm getting their salary, yeah.
Look at Mapes over here. Oh, I'm too big for the Big Apple. No one's too big for the Big Apple. It's the Big Apple. You jabroni. So Arian Foster has me thinking about who would be in the Texans' almost Ring of Honor. Foster's definitely in it. Foster's about as close as you can get to being in the Texans' Ring of Honor without actually being in the Ring of Honor. And I also feel like Arian Foster wouldn't want to be in the Texans' Ring of Honor too. Because there's a hipster vibe with him. Yeah, Sean. There's an element of, okay, with him. I'm not sure he's the biggest fan of the McNair family. Could be wrong on that front. I don't want to speak for him. But there is an element where Arian Foster probably wouldn't want to be a part of it. But how about the almost Texans Ring of Honor? Foster's definitely in it. Who else is in it? Because the Ring of Honor is Andre Johnson, it's J.J. Watt, and I guess it's Bob McNair because you got the late Bob McNair because you got to put an owner in to every Hall of Fame.
It is funny
Ring of
that
Honor.
as far as players go, the Ring of Honor is one person.
think John McClain's going to get into the Texans Ring of Honor. What? John Clayton, my late friend, who I used to talk with on Seattle radio all the time, he is in the NFL Hall of Fame.
Yeah, is he in the Seattle Seahawks Ring of Honor?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. What would be next to John? Like, it would be like a pin and then John McClain,
Yeah.
Houston Chronicle, whatever.
Yeah.
Or a typewriter.
Well, everyone knows. It's look, I'm not even kidding here. As far as like football relevance in this city, there were times where John McClain was more relevant than the actual football team here. Sort of. He is nationally beloved, sort of like the same way John Clayton is. So you go into the stadium, you see Bob McNair, John McClain,
and then two
Tom Brady.
players. There'd be as many non-players as actual players.
Tom Brady should be in the Texans Ring of Honor.
Okay.
What? I'm nominating Tom Brady to the Texans Ring of Honor. But the
Can we put up all the Super Bowl banners then?
Yeah.
Actually,
Flame them.
Actually,
same colors, blue and red.
The Super Bowls that he won in Houston should go up in NRG Stadium.
That's true. That is. Sean, my God. Mike Francesa is quaking right now.
He's lucky he's old. He's lucky we're not in the prime together.
Oh, boy.
Put me at WFAN back in the 80s or whatever.
Super Bowl 38 against the Panthers. Super Bowl 51. You're right. Super Bowl 51 against the Falcons. Yeah, he's won 2 Super Bowls here. Tom Brady, Texans Ring of Honor. But the almost Ring of Honor, who makes it? Okay, on a serious note, Duane Brown's got to be in it. The end of the Duane Brown era in Houston was ridiculous. I felt like he milked the inmates running the prison situation to force his way out of town. He got traded to Seattle legitimately the very next day after that game was played. I remember we had a press conference and I had a microphone in his face, and I think probably 2 hours, and I was still the last person at NRG Stadium. I think 2 hours after it happened, he was elsewhere. He was somewhere else.
And if he didn't get traded and like the whole inmates running this prison thing didn't happen, he probably would just be in the he would have a case to be in the actual Ring of Honor.
Oh yeah,
but
100%.
Getting traded kind of bumps him to the almost Ring of Honor.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I it's a shame. I mean, he is one of the best players in the team's history.
DeAndre Hopkins, another one, probably should be in the Ring of Honor, but the way that went down.
But the way it went down was entirely the Texans and specifically Bill O'Brien's doing. Hopkins has to be in the actual Ring of Honor. He's not in the almost Ring of Honor. Hopkins will be in there
I think he's good enough. Okay, so he will be.
Yeah,
I feel like he will be.
I think Hopkins
after he retires.
Hopkins actually is good enough.
Okay.
The almost Ring of Honor, Johnathan Joseph. Multiple Pro Bowls here, damn good player. I'm a big Johnathan Joseph fan. I think he's one of the toughest players in the league that no one discussed how tough he was because he plays cornerback, but they had some really good tackling corners back in the day with him and Kareem Jackson. I would say DeMeco Ryans is probably in the almost Texans Ring of Honor for his time as a Texans linebacker. And then it starts to get dicey. Are you going to put Brian Cushing in there?
Mario Williams. 14 sacks, 12 sacks, 9 sacks, 8.5.
But he was the first overall pick. And every single time you think about Mario Williams, I know you do. You're like, oh, what if Vince Young was here?
Or Reggie Bush. I would have been fine with either.
Yeah.
Which is so funny that I would have been fine drafting a running back #1 overall and a guy who had a worse career than the guy they actually picked. And I still, part of me, I'm like, kind of wish they just would have picked Reggie Bush.
Mario Williams reminds me of Jadeveon Clowney. Jadeveon Clowney reminds me of Mario Williams. Except for I like Jadeveon Clowney as a player.
But Mario Williams was much more productive as a pass rusher.
He was, but Jadeveon Clowney was at a time the best run defender in the NFL.
Yeah.
So, again, to each their own.
So 90 retired, almost retired twice.
Almost retired twice. You know what? You're making that argument. I guess I'll allow it. He did have a couple of really good seasons. Almost Texans Ring of Honor. We have DeMeco Ryans in. We have Johnathan Joseph in. We have Duane Brown in. We have Arian Foster in. This one, I don't think I can put Matt Schaub in.
No.
I don't think I can put Matt Schaub in. I want to put Matt Schaub in. I don't think I can put Matt Schaub in. The way it ended was such a disaster. That's what's a shame for Schaub. Schaub had a couple of pretty good seasons here, and statistically, some great seasons here. But it ended so badly, and then there was a lot of drama at the very end of it, too. That's maybe why I want to put him in the almost Ring of Honor. There were people like going to his house and stuff. It was over the top. Who is in the almost Texans Ring of Honor? Owen Daniels is a good one. Though I do remember back in time where I once got in an argument over one of my co-hosts at the flagship station about, get this, Owen Daniels and Joel Dreesen were a better tight end combination than Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. He said, you can't tell me that that's a better tight end combination. And I said, I respectfully disagree.
I mean, it depends on what kind of team you want to run.
Well,
what your values are.
If you don't like murder,
Patriot values,
you're feeling better about it. If you don't like people that are trying to get veterans health insurance for some reason, yeah, that's another reason. But
if you like very good football players,
yeah. A couple of people have brought up, there's a bunch of names that are coming here on the almost Texans Ring of Honor. Got to have David Carr. No, you don't. No, you don't. It's the almost Texans Ring of Honor. Come on, we're putting a little bit behind this. Owen Daniels is almost allowed. A texter asks, how is Arian Foster not in the actual Ring of Honor? He's one of the best Texans players ever. I think it's an Arian choice. I don't think he'd want to be in it.
I think if the relationship between Arian and the Texans was like neutral, he's in. But I think
we honestly can't speak to the relationship either, Sean. I would just assume, and perhaps this is a foolish assumption, that he is not on great terms with the organization, because he seems to not be on great terms with any NFL ownership. I think he looks back at his time playing in the league, and it was a means to an end to give him a little bit of relevance, and he's happy that he has it, and now he's doing things that are totally unrelated to football. And to be perfectly honest, I feel like he's been a pretty damn creative person in his post-playing career.
Yeah, it is a little Ricky Williams in that way, where they both kind of viewed being an NFL running back as like, yeah, that's just what I had to do to get money. And you know what? I can do what I want.
Good for him.
And they're like, they almost don't like football. Like, they like football, but it feels like they're not like trying to be on NFL Network. They're not starting a podcast about football. They're starting podcasts about other stuff.
It seems like Foster dealt with a lot of BS at Tennessee. Maybe some of it was self-created. I don't know the entire backstory, but I get it. Foster's somebody who thinks. I know some people get a little bit annoyed, like he comes off as a know-it-all. I like Foster. He's not as much of a know-it-all as Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion. But
also, David Carr threw 65 touchdowns and 71 interceptions.
Yeah, can't be in it. Can't be in it. Schaub can, maybe. Some would argue T.J. Yates. T.J. Yates moments would make it into the almost Texans Ring of Honor. T.J. Yates coming back randomly as like off the streets and I think winning a game with the Texans. That was fun. Yeah, I think
he was 0-3 in games he started. Maybe he won the game he didn't.
There was a game, I think it was against the New York Jets, that they won. And I think that was the game where DeAndre Hopkins officially ended Darrelle Revis' career. But I could be wrong on that one. And he has, of course, the first win to win the AFC South and the first playoff win. But he didn't do a very good job in that game. And he also lost the next game against the Ravens, which the Texans definitely could have won. I mean, if Jacoby Jones doesn't fumble that ball, muff punt at the beginning of the game, oh, God. Sorry, I'm getting triggered.
He won the first 2 playoff games. He beat Cincinnati twice.
That's true. But they lost the second playoff game to the Ravens.
No, they never won 2 straight playoff games.
Right. Others from Twitch, twitch.tv/ESPN975. E315 says Dante Robinson. Almost Ring of Honor. The Pay Me Rick Cleats, Pay Me Rick Smith, is the funniest thing ever.
He's in my, like, the people's Ring of Honor,
yes,
I feel like.
Because
oh man, actually, let's file that one away for the summer. The People's Ring of Honor.
The People's Ring of Honor. I like that. Sean Cody would probably make that one. This was a moment in time that I imagine the Texans were so uncomfortable with too, because the Texans have always come across as these like proper, like, do the player, like South Carolinians that happen to have a franchise located in Houston, and now all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, we are in Houston,
H-Town.
Maybe we should move on from going after Johnathan Josephs and DJ Swearingers and Jadeveon Clowneys and maybe move towards, I don't know, just being part of H-Town, as you said, Sean Mapes. Amon Green says HRWS1W on twitch.tv/ESPN975. You were a bastard. Ed Reed, baby, says Largo Bot. Come on, guys. Those guys were in the ring of, oh boy, least favorite Texans ever.
They're in the ring of they were good for other teams.
If we want to do the ring of dishonor, it would be Ahman Green, to an extent Ed Reed, Brock Osweiler, and someone else who's been nominated, Chris Brown. I only know of the Texans as an organization pre-moving here from watching NFL primetime and seeing Chris Berman call highlights of a game where Matt Schaub threw for 500 yards, Andre Johnson caught for 200 yards, although that actually only happened once. It was against the Jaguars in 2012. But there was a game where they probably played great, and then at the end, the Texans had a chance to win, and Chris Brown would kick a field goal into the sidelines. Just completely miss it. Tony Baselli, yeah, that one was a big whiff. Aaron Glenn, maybe? No, I think that one's a little bit of a reach. Amobi Okoye, Alfred Blue. Now you guys are trolling. This is what, of course, it always turns into with this team. Come on, it's the almost Ring of Honor. We do want to have some standards here.
I will say that there's not that many people to choose from without turning into the sarcasm nominations.
Sam Montgomery, Willie Jefferson, and Sierra Woods. Yeah.
DJ Swearinger's dog.
Yeah. But DJ Swearinger, I loved.
Yeah, he's in the People's Ring of Honor.
At Jungle Boy Swag. What a handle. What a handle. Lewis Nix. Oh, boy. Brennan Williams, the guy who wanted to wrestle and not play. He's a nice guy. I met him once. Lamar Miller. Lamar Miller was pretty good, but not quite there. Antonio Smith, the Ninja Assassin. As far as memorable players, yes. I don't know if I would go up that far, but yeah. Not only was Antonio Smith funny when you put a microphone in front of him, one time he tried to beat up Richie Incognito with his own helmet, which a lot of people forgot. I remember bringing that up as a reason to... I was standing up for Myles Garrett when he bashed Mason Rudolph on the head.
Very Paul Gallant defense, I will say.
In my defense, Sean, I didn't want to ever see Mason Rudolph again, so I was hoping that this would teach him to leave football because you're absolutely terrible at it. That was the main thing.
Was that in? Were you in Seattle when you were?
I was in Seattle.
Yeah, I imagine they didn't love.
They got so angry at me for thinking that it wasn't attempted murder, because everyone portrayed it as attempted murder when he went after him, and I was like, okay, he lost his cool. I'm sure Mason Rudolph said something that merited that.
No, we don't know that for sure. For some reason, NFL films the audio cut out only for that play.
Seriously, it's a pretty safe assumption.
Yeah,
it's a pretty
cut out. Cut out. There's nothing you can do.
Imagine if the audio was in there, Sean, and what an absolute bleep storm that would have been, and people would have been defending Myles Garrett there. And I always thought I was like, okay, it was a bad moment, but he shouldn't be sent to jail for assault. It's a helmet. It's an 8-pound piece of plastic.
Him getting suspended for the rest of the season, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just cool off for another 9 months. All right. Come back next fall.
Yeah. And again, Antonio Smith swung Richie Incognito's helmet at him. Who's the almost Texans Ring of Honor? Because the Ring of Honor, I think we've all agreed on, with Andre Johnson and Bob McNair actually in it, and J.J. Watt joining them someday, is also going to feature John McClain, Tom Brady, because he did win 2 Super Bowls in Houston, and most importantly, the guy whose name we have not mentioned yet, Clay Walker. Sean's shaking his head. I'm sorry. You can't get up for a Houston Texans game without it's football time in Houston getting you ready to play. Because it's not until he says, and we're ready to play, that you know that it's finally here. Red, white, and blue every day. Sean is just disgusted by that. The almost Texans Ring of Honor was our conversation today because we heard a funny clip from Arian Foster, who I do miss as a Houston Texan. Arian Foster's in it. Duane Brown, he's in it. I think DeMeco Ryans is in it, especially now that he's a head coach. But Ryans had a couple of Pro Bowl seasons with the Texans, and I think Johnathan Joseph is in it as well. I'm a bad teammate of the Houston Texans, although I guess I'm not. I don't work at the flagship anymore. Paul, remember, you aren't there. You don't even have to do this for an entire hour. Some people are probably like, Paul, can you stop it with the Texans talk? Fine. Jon Weeks got to be in it. Longest tenured Texan, I think. I don't believe that's debatable anymore. Some honorable mentions for the almost Ring of Honor. I would be remiss if I didn't say Chris Myers. I am a big fan of Chris Myers. Wade Smith made a Pro Bowl, too. I like Wade Smith. Owen Daniels. Yeah, I feel like Owen Daniels is almost in. So there's an almost Ring of Honor. There's an almost Ring of Honor. And then there's the real Ring of Honor. But some of you guys are mean.
That also, you explained that very close to becoming a participation trophy. If you just keep going, there's the almost Ring of Honor. There's the almost Ring of Honor. There's the almost. There's all the way down to like you
could make it a pyramid.
You were on the practice squad.
We could make it a pyramid. Because then, yeah, if it was the almost Ring of Honor, it would just be guys that I remembered that I liked.
Kevin Walter.
Yeah, I wasn't a big Kevin Walter fan.
What?
Nah, Kevin Walter was a reminder that they needed a good second wide receiver.
Second, right?
Yeah, Kevin Walter and Jacoby Jones were like, hey, you should probably draft someone like DeAndre Hopkins. And they did. Whitney Merciless got brought up. He played here for a while. He was always very solid.
I think he's almost.
Yeah, I think he's almost too. I think he's almost with Owen Daniels and Myers and
Johnathan Joseph almost.
Johnathan Joseph is definitely almost.
Yeah, okay.
Damn, who was that running back that was from William and Mary? Like that would be in the almost. Because whenever he played, he was great. He was averaging like 5 yards a carry. But see, I don't even remember his name. So there you go.
I feel like that disqualifies you if you
but that's
don't
why he's in the almost Texans Ring of Honor. Okay. Texter says the Texans are a pyramid scheme. Hey, you don't know that. Started watching that Bernie Madoff documentary last night. I don't understand how anyone falls hook, line, and sinker for these people, especially if the guy's apparently not one who makes eye contact with you. It drives me crazy. Here's a doozy, writes a texter. Randy Bullock. Stop. That is bullying of Randy Bullock. I will not stand for it. And one last one. This one is, I think, borderline almost. Vontae Leach. I have never seen, listen, a guy can appreciate another man's body. Vontae Leach is the most jacked person I've ever seen in a locker room, by far. And I'm not acting like I look downstairs or anything like that. I'm a professional. All I'm saying is, every now and then you would see somebody with a 16-pack. I've never seen more abs on a human being who's built. It's not like Vontae Leach is skinny and lean or anything like that. Vontae Leach was linebacker-sized at fullback and just an absolute Adonis of a human being. If there was anyone that I would trust to open up a gym after their playing career, and I would pay like Equinox gym prices to go, Vontae Leach would have been the guy. 713-780-3776, 713-780-ESPN. The Almost Texans Ring of Honor. Ryan has a thought. Ryan, what's up?
What's going on, Paulie?
Yo.
Okay, so I got somebody for the division championship that he brought to the city, won B.O.B.
Bill O'Brien. Oh, man.
You know it's good when he hangs up before.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing there.
Throw the grenade.
Threw the grenade, close the door. All over us right now.
ESPN
no, he's not. I think the sad thing is you really haven't had a coach
can I get your name?
worthy of that kind of recognition. Gary Kubiak's got the local ties, so that would have been good. If this was still the Houston Oilers,
I'll pass
and they had
that
changed
one.
their name to the Texans or something like that, I think Wade Phillips would definitely deserve a mention.
All right, thanks.
Because when Wade Phillips came here, Wade Phillips was a part of this team changing. If you remember, before 2011, their defense was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Like what you would know the Texans for was Matt Schaub and Andre Johnson throwing for thousands of yards, Chris Brown shanking field goals at the end of games, and the Texans defense being an absolutely terrible unit. Then Wade Phillips comes in and, oh my God, they're good. Like immediately. Next year, 2011, he comes in and like they had one of the best defenses in the NFL 2011, 2012. Like they were really, really good for a couple of years.
Larry called in one to mention Brian Cushing. I feel like we haven't talked about him enough.
We did touch on him, but we did not go great into detail with him. I think he's in the almost Ring of Honor.
Oh, okay.
I think that The big thing that sucks with Cushing, and I'm not actually holding the PEDs against him.
Yeah, this isn't the Baseball Hall of Fame.
I don't care. He when he was on his game, he was amazing. But it was like a 3-year stretch for Cushing. Because he comes in, was it 2009 his rookie season?
2009 was his rookie.
So 2009 he comes in, he wins the Rookie of the Year that year. It gets like, I think, did they have a revote because he tested positive for the PEDs? I think there actually was a revote.
I don't remember that. That'd be hilarious.
It was a really tricky situation, and he gets suspended the first 4 games of the next year. 2011, really good player. 2012, I feel like the Texans' chances to actually go far in the playoffs died in that game, whether it was against the Jets or Packers, I forget which one. But Cushing gets hurt in that game. And I always felt like, okay, well, if there's a theoretical matchup with the New England Patriots down the road, they're not going to have Brian Cushing, who is so good side to side as far as keeping some of the satellite backs that New England had in check and the tight ends that New England, of course, had in check. Not to say that Cushing was like a great cover guy, but Cushing was about as good as it gets from a middle linebacker at that point in the league's history at moving from sideline to sideline. And when that injury happened, afterwards, he just wasn't the same guy. And I don't think he played that much longer after it happened, in fact.
And he also had to overcome overtrained athlete syndrome.
Right,
or
he did. That's why he's in the almost. And he did get popped again for a PEDs. But I didn't blame him at all for the second one. Because once you have an ACL go, I mean, then your career's ticking. You know, it's a matter of time before you stop being.
He retired at 30.
Yeah, that's a shame. When he was on his A game, we make fun because of the PED poppage, but like Cushing was a great player when he was 100%. It's just a shame. It was a really quick moment in time. And he was also an absolute crazy person on the field. You've probably seen the highlight that he had on YouTube where, check it out, where he was mic'd up against the Cleveland Browns. I think this was a game where Colt McCoy was under center, and poor Colt McCoy was just getting absolutely bludgeoned back there. And he headbutted somebody with his helmet off. And he's just bleeding everywhere like a complete barbarian psychopath. And the funny thing was, whenever you talk to Brian Cushing, you put a microphone in front of him, he would be like the most boring, low-energy person ever. Like, we're just trying to be the best team I can be. Like, always mumbling. But then when you heard him mic'd up, it was one of the better mic'd up performances there was. Like J.J. Watt, when he was mic'd up, it was always a bit try-hard, whether it was Hard Knocks or in real life. But Brian Cushing, that was authentic. That was real. We have established, first off, the Houston Texans Ring of Honor. Andre Johnson, Bob McNair, yeah, duh. J.J. Watt.
I will say Bob McNair putting himself in.
Well, don't say that. Don't speak ill of the dead. The late Bob McNair.
I just,
He's
Is
in.
Cal McNair going to be put in after he dies,
He
too?
brought football. He brought football back to Houston. No, Cal doesn't make it. Cal doesn't make it.
Almost?
I mean, look, there's time. There is time. Does Hannah McNair make it into the Almost Texans Hall of Fame? Trending up. I think she's in the almost Texans Hall of Fame right now.
She's with Dunta Robinson.
Yes. Hey, let's get back on track. The Texans' real Ring of Honor features 1, Andre Johnson, 2, Bob McNair, 3, will feature J.J. Watt, 4, will feature DeAndre Hopkins, 5, Tom Brady, 1, 2 Super Bowls in Houston, 6, Clay Walker, and 7, T.Y. Hilton.
That's bad. That's ugly.
Tom Brady played well here. T.Y. Hilton played even better here on a more regular basis. So he's got to be in the Texans Ring of Honor. Almost Ring of Honor, Arian Foster, Duane Brown, Johnathan Joseph, DeMeco Ryans. We'll put Jon Weeks in, too. Longest tenured Texan. The almost Ring of Honor. No,
Just
I'm sorry.
two
We're done.
almost.
We're done. We're killing it. We are killing the topic.